Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So the New York Times even is admitting that the Democrats are in a lot of trouble because their party faces something we've been talking about on this channel for a very long time, and that is the fact that they have a voter registration crisis. And you can tell based on voter registration shifts the way a state is going to go. Sometimes there's a little bit of lag. We understand that some states just have a lot of ancestral voters that get purged, and it doesn't always impact the result of the next election. However, what we're seeing as of late is that when the dam breaks, the dam breaks. We saw it in Florida. Democrats were in denial. We saw it in Arizona and Pennsylvania. Democrats are in denial. And since the election, it has not been slowing down. But this is not even just happening in a few swing states. It's happening everywhere. In every single state, Democrats are losing ground. Not every state tracks voter registration, but this article shows that of the 30 states that do, Republicans have gained ground in every single one by voter registration over the past 5 years. And when they've done it, they've often done it by a lot. And that 4-year swing adds up to 4.5 million voters, a deep political hole that could take years for Democrats to climb out on. And this article is very comprehensive, and Democrats are in shambles. Some people are starting to admit it, but the reality is it doesn't seem like it's a hole that they're going to easily be able to climb out of anytime soon. So we'll dive into this a bit further, but first I have to tell you guys about our friends over at The Wellness Company. Ever wonder why your brain feels foggy even when you're eating clean and exercising? It might not be burnout, it could be parasites. Groundbreaking research from Dr. Alan McDonald revealed a direct link between chronic parasitic infections and neurological diseases like MS. Parasites can cause inflammation, nerve damage, and long-term cognitive decline. More reason to do a full body cleanse at least once a year, and the Wellness Company has a solution for you. Ivermectin plus mebendazole, the gold standard parasite solution, now combined in one cleanse combo, designed to eliminate harmful invaders and support your immune system naturally. Medical grade. These are not trendy herbal gimmicks. You can fill out a quick intake form and get a 3-month supply shipped straight to your door. MAHA is officially here, and the Wellness Company is making hard to get medications digitally accessible so you can live your best life. Head to twc.health/RedEagle and use code RedEagle for $60 off plus free shipping on all orders. Cleanse your body today. All right, guys, so back to the video. These maps are huge. These maps are just showcasing the major problem that Democrats have. And you could see the change in share of registered voters. Sometimes in the Republican column, you talk about the fact that you have like voter purges or whatever. But even in those states where Republicans have stagnated or gone down, Democrats have gone down by a lot more. And that is a major problem for the Democrats. You're talking about every swing state in particular that tracks this party registration data. Arizona, Republicans going up, Democrats going down. Nevada, Republicans pretty stagnant, Democrats going way down. Florida, Democrats going down, Republicans going up. You look at the state of North Carolina, pretty much stagnant for the Republicans, but the Democrats, they're going way down. Pennsylvania, Republicans going up, Democrats going way down. So you're seeing what's happening here. You have less of a cushion. You have less to work with if you are the Democrats. And when you have less to work with, guess what happens? You're losing ground in states that you don't have room to lose ground in. They never had any ground that they could have lost in Florida, but that dam broke before 2020 and it broke way more after 2020. And you can see these shifts. 2020 in Florida, there was about a 1.3 or so million net switch between 2020 and 2024, where Republicans gained that much over the Democrats. And Trump had an already impressive win because the dam was already breaking. He won Florida, lost ground in other states, but he won Florida by 400,000 votes almost, and he won it by over 3 points. And then you look at 2024, and he wins Florida by 1.5 million votes, takes the state by 13 points. This was like the one swing state back in the day, not anymore. It is solid red. Republicans are winning the state by more than 10. They're gaining ground in Texas. They're, making sure that that popular vote electoral college split is not as big as it was before. Not like that dictates electoral victory, but still, you look at Arizona, where Donald Trump gained around 200,000 or so net votes from 2020, and Republicans gained a net 250,000 registrations from 2020. Nevada was like 100,000 of a shift. You look at 2020 in Nevada, Biden took Nevada by 34,000 votes. Now Donald Trump took it by 46,000 votes. So you see that shift in the voter registration. It's close to a 1-to-1 in a lot of states in terms of the actual shift. Pennsylvania in 2020, you look at this 3.45 to 3.37. So that's about 80,000 on the Dem side. Now went 120,000 on the Republican side. Obviously, Pennsylvania is a little bit of a different ball game because of the fact that it is true that you have more ancestral Democrats there switching their registrations. It kind of is like a net gain of 2. But still, there has been a lot of new voter registrations. A lot of the recent gains have not been due to people just switching their voter registration. And when they do switch their voter registration, they're usually gone for good down ballot too, which is something a lot of people aren't really taking into account when they're analyzing this. But even New Hampshire, we saw a surge, and you look at Biden in New Hampshire in 2020 taking the state by 60,000. Donald Trump fell short by just about 23,000 votes. If it was more contested, I think Trump probably could have pulled off an upset in New Hampshire. So even in states like that, it's really showing that there's a massive shift. And when you look at this and you're able to show, North Carolina is another example. You talk about the fact that Trump went out there in 2020, didn't even win it by 100,000 votes. 2024 rolls around, he wins it by almost 200,000 votes. Big shift even since the election in 2024 in North Carolina, Nevada and Arizona being shored up. If Pennsylvania is shored up, Democrats don't have a pathway. They could win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Georgia. It's not going to matter. Well, we forgot about D.C., but either way, that's not going to change anytime soon, if ever, in our lifetimes. As for New Hampshire, that one is kind of becoming competitive. New Jersey possibly could become competitive. New Mexico could become competitive at the rate things are going. But even so, just easing off of, those two states kind of being a little bit of a long shot, we do understand that Republicans have the upper hand, and they're not really showing any signs of slowing down. So for the midterms, turnout definitely could be a problem for Republicans if a lot of, Trump low propensity voters don't vote. We understand that. But for presidential elections, full turnout elections, I refuse to see how Republicans lose in 2028 if this does not change. It's going to be close to impossible, if anything, for that to happen. So you see this, and several people are talking about this, several commentators, where you have Michael Pruser saying, I don't want to say the death cycle of the Democratic Party, but there seems to be no end to this. And even people who are skeptical of how it's going to impact election results, as Pruser was one of those people, he's now coming around. And you have plenty of other people who are also coming around to this idea because they're forced to view reality. I mean, 2024 was one of the first elections, if not the first election since 1928, where you had more Republicans or self-ID'd Republicans in the electorate than self-ID'd Democrats. And you're seeing the shift overall. And now you also have more voters registering as Republicans, because typically party ID versus registration, a little bit of a lagging indicator, but we're now seeing it in both the registrations and the ID of voters. More people are identifying as Republican. Democrats were coping about this pre-election in a really, really bad way, where you had them saying things like, oh, well, female Republicans are going to secretly vote for Kamala Harris, even though these people have voted Trump twice in a row and they have conservative convictions. That didn't happen. That was just a Democrat cope, a Democrat dream, but they were very smug about it. They were. And it seems like Democrats have a problem because they would be able to, back in the day, go out and register a bunch of black voters, Hispanic voters, younger voters. And now they can't do that without knowing that those people are going to vote Democrat, and many of them are voting Republican. And we saw this a little bit before the election. Some Democrat groups that traditionally registered voters, they weren't registering voters because they kind of knew that if they would, it's like, is this guy going to show up and vote Democrat, or is he going to vote for Trump? A lot of them would have probably voted for Trump, so they didn't want to do that. And on top of it, you have Tom Bonnier. We like to call him Tiny Boner, over at Target Smart. Some people will say Target Dumb. This is the same guy who was saying in 2016 that 28% of Republican women in Florida were going to vote for Hillary Clinton. That number ended up being like 7 to 8%. He was coping so hard, acting so smug, talking down on people like me who would call him out on his BS. Now even he has to admit, I was right and he was wrong, saying that the Democrats have dug themselves into a hole. And it's like, well, we tried to warn you, but their own smug behavior just bit him in the rear end. We saw Bucks County, Pennsylvania go Republican in registration, and we also saw it go Republican for Donald Trump for the first time in a very, very long time in Bucks County. I mean, this is a county, it's a suburban county. Democrats, they look at the suburbs and they just assume that these are all a bunch of people who voted for Mitt Romney that hate Donald Trump and hate Republicans now. And while some people will exist in some like wealthy suburbs that fit that mold, it's kind of just a caricature of the suburbs and not actually how they are. In a lot of swing states, you have a lot of working class suburbs like Bucks County, for example, who voted for Donald Trump and moved to the right. In fact, every suburb, every county in suburban Philadelphia this cycle moved to the right from 2020. Even counties like Chester County, where you have a heavy college-educated population, because Trump has hit kind of a wall when it comes down to losing voters. If you voted for Trump twice, you're probably not voting for Kamala Harris. I mean, that's one point that's true. But another point is you have a lot of working class voters in those suburbs, may have voted for Trump in 16, Biden in 20, but voted for Trump in 2024 and probably vote Republican more times than not, because that's the way that they are trending. So you see that happen. And Democrats are just in every single state struggling. They're not doing well with Hispanic voters, and they continue to struggle with registration among those voters. And it's like you look at these young men who were registering in 2020, 49% chose the Democrats in 2020, and then in 2024, that figure was down to 39%, which kind of shows that you have a massive problem with the Democrat Party. People don't want anything to do with it, especially men. A lot of younger minority men that Democrats were banking on are not in their column, and they just don't know what to do because their support base are like these very liberal, voters that happen to have a college degree, a bunch of people with like an IQ of like 105 that think their IQ is 130 when it's really not. That's their voter base. Those are the Democrat voters. And there's not that many of them to carry them to electoral victory unless it's a smaller turnout election. Didn't used to be that way, but now it is. So when you look at it, you have a lot of problems. And you talk about the fact that they don't even want to register voters anymore because they're afraid. They're afraid that if they register voters, that they're going to vote against them, or they're going to register as Republicans or not register as Democrats. So even some of these quotes here, any hope that the drift away from the Democrats would end organically with Trump's election has been dashed with the data we have so far in 2025. There are now roughly 160,000 fewer registered Democrats than on Election Day and 200,000 more Republicans. So if this trend continues, this is the map that we're going to be looking at in 2028. Do you think any of these out-of-touch people that the Democrats are probably going to put up are going to be able to go out there and win Pennsylvania over J.D. Vance or win North Carolina? Because they probably aren't winning Arizona or Nevada at the rate things are going. Their floor is not that high, and their ceiling is relatively low. And now the media is taking note because they're forced to, but I don't know if they're exactly going to have a viable solution, given the way that their so-called past solutions have only put them further and further in a doom loop. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video, and check out the Wellness Company. They have all kinds of great supplements for you guys. The link for that will be in the description and pinned comment down below. Follow me on social media. Those links will be in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.